should be a treat. We have not seen M80 play this map since September. So it's time to run it back and see whether we will go to map 3 or if Heroic can take it 2-0.
It's been a while. It's been a while, and a while is often the truest test, especially here. This is the joy of best of threes opening up on groups, because best of ones, as we've had for the other majors so far, is different. It is. You get such a smaller map pool. There was the very fun, fresh R6S statistic of on the first play day, we saw every single bomb site from every single map. Not just every single map. We saw everything. The whole thing. And you never really get that. It's been such a joy to see a lot of these teams bring out these more secretive maps and plays. Absolutely.
It's very exciting, especially when you see teams pick maps that they've seen their opponents play and look to counter. So that's exactly what's happened here. M80 going to Clubhouse, which they haven't played since September, but Heroic played just yesterday and barely won against Team Secret. And so there's a lot of information out there on how Heroic have been playing, and M80 are looking to read into that. As we go through the ban phase, yesterday Heroic banned the Dokkaebi and the Azami. It looks like they are going to go with that Azami once again, but instead the Monty ban on the attacking side. Not the first time during Six Invitational that someone's banned Monty against M80. We saw it in the FaZe Clan match on Theme Park just yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got their books, they've got their prep and their stats. Yeah. They know what they want to limit here, and that is the push chance of the Monty. There are very awkward places for a Monty on this map. You're especially thinking of things like, you know, pushing up garage stairs, the rafters, pushing down dirt in this scenario. There's just places where Monty goes, and you don't want to play against that, that's fine. That's why we have the bans that we have. You don't want to play against Azami. Yeah, that makes sense. I think M80 were using a lot of Azami. They were using a lot of cover, and they were using it a lot more successfully than Heroic were. So Heroic have gone, I don't want to play that game again.
No, not at all. Something else that was a very impactful operator in the previous map was Mira, which M80 themselves have banned out. Heroic use that. Well, I'd say both teams use that operator to its fullest extent and really created some power positions. Here we go, though, for Heroic. A start down in Church and Arsenal. We've got the Kaid for a bit of hatch denial, but Joom here, the first player to find some blood, and he puts Spirits down, but not out as of yet. More than enough, though, to waste some time and health of M80 as Joom decides to fall back to site.
What a statement. What a sort of continuation of the game that they were playing before, and Spirits will get picked back up, will get revived, but the Buck especially, your soft destruction, if you're looking at Kitchen, if you're looking at these angles that they've got to be, you know, a little bit close to the fire on it, and you're looking at, oh, I don't know, James, 3 C4s on the other team, a whiff of some smoke. He is so close to being knocked apart, and it's your only real soft breach here outside of a couple of things in the pockets of Kino and Yoga. Got to try and keep that skeleton key as driven as possible. Talking of, they're pretty driven to try and match these firefights at the top of the stairs. If they get caught out, things can be a bit sketchy, but it seems like sketchy is what Gomez is expecting here with a slow and steady approach via Adam down towards blue.
Sloth, he's got some confidence here. You can see after map 1, where he went 0-8 at the start of the map, he's really starting to find his form, subbing in here for Heroic. It's been a tough road for this team, which just so recently made roster changes and, of course, had a little bit of drama, if you can call it that, and trying to make sure they got 5 legit players at this tournament. M80, though, have made some good progress here. The double EMP from Yoga, that cleans him from utility, but it does guarantee the hatch to be opened. And, oh, there's the C4 you're asking for.
Well, I was about to make a point about the fact that I think we saw a misthrow of the EMP before, but I guess it doesn't even matter if you just kill the guy. They should be able to hopefully find the claw depending on where it's placed. There it is. If you want to watch from home, that is actually very easy to do. You can generally hit the softs either side and get most of the places the claw is close enough to, and they should be able to get the hatch, but look at it's just the cost.
Oh, wow.
The Selma's and Noodle from bottom to top. Rocks Kino's head, the pressure on the back of Blue. They're putting bullets into the wings and clipping them and trying to slow the birds, but Sloth just rotates out of there, tucks himself from the far end. They have a Goyo canister on the opposite side. They still think he's tucked behind it. There might be a reveal. They don't quite get the full breadth. They're back in sight, but there's only 20 seconds, and now he's back in, sets the fire off. That's gonna tick the whole time round. M80, all they've run into down here is Sloth, and Bundle's a problem, so instead they hit the site. The C4 just does enough to stop that, the swing round. The kit is in nobody's pockets, and the first round is only in Heroics.
With 2 players on the attack, still alive, but staring at a floor made of fire and a cavern filled with gas, it's just not going to work out. Heroic played that game to perfection and prevented that execute. Great usage of the Vulcan canisters, the smoke babes, and just excellent work throughout the mid-round, guaranteeing a kill with a C4. Gets them to a strong start here on the second map. And Emmy, guess what? That is 7 rounds in a row from Heroic this series.
That's the whole map.
Well, yes, but it's across 2 maps. It's actually not
Damn.
one whole map.
I failed.
It's less like you have one whole apple and more like you have 2 halves of different apples.
I want an apple.
You can't
What's your favorite kind
put
of
2
apple?
apples together. I like pink ladies. I think they are one of the superior apples.
I like Granny Smith because they're sour like me.
Yeah.
Top floor. Over to Jim. And we find ourselves trying to, I guess, rebuild from that first round. Let's shake it off, M80, and see if we can try and approach the second with a little bit more of what we expected to see from them. Okay. We throw ourselves back to the previous map, and it was a bit of back and forth either way in the opening half. It's not going to be any different, I think, here, but M80, they need to try and find themselves, I think, mentally back into this. They're obviously not quite as confident as they once were. How could they be? You suffer on the wrong end of this, and until you stop counting the rounds, Mr. James Devmarter, then they're going to find themselves probably suffering the wrong end of it. It's a curse you got to break, and the only way by breaking it is beating them, and that's not the way to start. Uno, where even was that? That was the window out the back of the brick stairs, and who have they lost but Thatcher?
That is devastating, and there's no doubt that Uno knows about it as well. I was going to say, with the Maverick ban from M80, this is going to be a Thatcher-centric match, which also brings into the equation bandit juggling. And I thought this round would be determined partially by that bandit juggle, not even necessary. M80 are going to struggle to clear off the original bandit batteries so that it might not even come to that point.
Well, the windows are all open, and Noodle, they're being watched, and if this just gets shot through by either of them, it's a problem. He should shoot it open, but look at that. They're ready and waiting. Gomez suffers a bit. They did get Grizzly on the back end, and it's just waiting for a single
Oh, the time.
There it is, Spirits. Now, you're about to say the timing works against them, but just had enough of a cover, and they're able to get themselves back with the body advantage. A rotate might come around towards the Billiards window. Gomez is actually going to go a bit wider, potentially all the way over towards the strip side.
This is where M80 need to take a leaf out of Heroic's book. Doesn't take much to shoot the bandit batteries off this external wall, but now they have to deny the bandit juggle. Is Uno in position to try and deny this exothermic with his battery? He is not, and indeed, the breach is open. Uno immediately goes down, leaving Sloth as the lone player near the site. June was downstairs. M80 have a minute to work with now to confirm this execute.
A much better reaction here from M80. They've made sure that everything is tested, checked, and time again. Doom gets one. They slink their way back towards the site. They're looking for the next fight, and they've got the drop and logistics hacks to worry about. That drone gets the first. He wants to try and lean into the engagement and see if he can get it as the lead-in, but look, they have the body count to just drone themselves ahead. The flash is on the back end. Spirit suffers a shake alongside Doom. The blinds across the back of the board as well. 40 seconds. And a bit of a fight over the opening. Can they get it? Oh, a mistimed sprint there with Doom getting one back. He's got to find more, but he can't. And finally, M80 breaks 7 rounds of loss to find their first win in a while.
What the fuck, game? Let's get 3 points here.
Let's get 3 points here, hey? Well, you're going to have to win 2 more maps to achieve that. There's a real chance here for M80 to get their heads back in the game. On their map pick of Clubhouse, they've already found an attacking round just 2 rounds in. I mean, typically I'd say Clubhouse, you'd expect a 3-3 or a 4-2 for the defense. So nothing to write home about yet. The big thing for me is historically, the last 3 times that Heroic have played Clubhouse over the course of the last 5 months, they've actually had a 58% attacking win rate. So when Heroic switch onto the attack, we would expect them to have quite a bit of confidence and competence. And so if this ends up at a 4-2 for M80, I still wouldn't count out Heroic.
I think that's it, as well as after the first map, how can you ever count out Heroic? They couldn't have been closer to death's door, and they pulled it back. They have that as a mind game they can go back to, and we'll see what bar is the extension. There has been 2 attempts at a spawn peak in a row. One more successful, the other was a 0.5 success, but we'll still count it. Will they expect it again?
Will they do it again, I wonder? So as we could typically expect on a bar defense, quite a heavy extension upstairs from Heroic. However, I do wonder at this Kaid's effectiveness when we have the Thatcher on the board. M80 likely very early on will be looking to breach this Jacuzzi wall. It is step 1 of attacking, and not only does it put a lot of pressure on this top floor, but it cuts off the retreat for any of these players down the main stairs. And so here comes Therm. Yoga to come and support with his EMPs. Grizzly feeling a bit of pressure. No Bandit Juggle on the board, so this should be a pretty easy breach now for M80. Kaid trick. Is he going to double EMP it?
Oh, just in time. Run, Grizzly, run! Gomez suffers a bit of a break, but Grizzly suffers a little bit more. They threw themselves to the dedication there, and the impact was ready for a run out. Noodle wanted to try and get the angle on the far end. Doom, in the meantime, his amount of control and territory he has is fairly quickly slipping away. They are above. They have the hatch if they want to try and find a route out. He doesn't quite want to take it yet. He wants to see if he can get a head and a scalp before he has to drop down the hatch and go for the rotate. But as I said before in the previous round, M80 have definitely learned lessons and found themselves in a little bit more of a slow, steady, structured approach here. Grizzly, he's backed himself all the way. Sloth has some angle on the width. It's going to force Diaz to come over here and force the players out. If you are wanting the vertical control, to be honest, of all of it, construction is what you want. What are you planning, Sloth? And Noodle.
It looks like they're planning to go for a run out here, but I think Diaz placed the exothermic and didn't detonate. There we go. He detonates on his way out just to put perceived pressure on. Yoga's made his way here into Master. Finally, an opening pick as Spirits has taken control of logistics. Starts to clear out some Banshees, and this top floor control is paramount for M80.
Yeah, it looks like they're angling themselves up for a plant on the back end of Strip and Billiard's side, and well, with Heroic finally being forced out, you're still only looking at 50 seconds left, and there is still some utility underneath. Sloth, scraped and injured, and just going to sort of sit and wait for the approach to come against him. Concerned about the big breach behind, whether you're there or not, that's the point. You make it problematic to be there. Uno tucked in the meat locker, waiting for the width of the swing, and the Alder that can just tear things close, but Diaz seems like he wants to take this fight to Uno. He's out of there. They know they got a bit of time. They can reformulate, remove, reposition, and try and reevaluate where this kit is going down. That is one of that 6 people about your team. You got time, you got to trade. It goes a little bit against you, but 10 seconds. And now with Uno putting the pressure, there goes Gomez. The kit's still making its way across. There's Kino getting one more, but Diaz, he's got to see if he can try and get this stuck down. And he doesn't need to finish it. One more round for M80 in a row.
Oh my god! Let's go! Oh my god! Oh my god, things! Oh my god!
A scary one of that though for M80. It was very, very late. I was looking at that 25 seconds left. And we still have players filing their way in through Freezer and Kitchen just to even get close to the bomb site. There was a real chance there that Heroic could have pulled that one away from M80 at the last moment. But stealing their nerve, M80 do manage to get a second attack in a row here. Emmy, this is already an excellent start for them on this attacking side. It does put that pressure back onto Heroic. They've tried Gym Bedroom, they've tried Bar Stage, and the only site where they found any form of success is down in Church and Arsenal.
Well, let's see if they can replicate that success from before. It was pretty good, but it did come down to time. It came down to M80 being burnt and locked out of the site. There was a part of it that almost was successful. The drive just right down, dropped the kitchen hatch, I think hit the corridor as well, and just got caught out by the C4, but after getting 2 kills inside the site itself, it's not that the round was a million miles away. And M80 are well aware of that fact. They could be sitting 3-0 right now. They want to be sitting 3-1. Let's see if they can try and drive it. A change here. Solace in the pockets of Sloth. Once again, a bit slow to get into gear here, unfortunately. Can it happen a little bit sooner? I guess it's one of the things that time will tell.
Well, Sloth is on such a powerful operator here. The Solus we've seen, one of the ultimate playmaking operators. You can get so much information about what the attack is doing, whether it's spotting the diffuser if it gets dropped, whether it's spotting players on cameras, whether it's spotting the drones themselves, or other forms of utility like claymores and air jabs. Sloth, though, he is going to reveal his position with a spray upstairs as M80 begin to go for this map clear, breaching on that jacuzzi wall. My concern for M80 is even if they do succeed in the map clear, you look and you've got Echo and Goyo in for the late round, so keep that in the back of your mind. M80 need time to execute, otherwise they'll meet the same fate as they did last time attacking this bomb site.
Well, Sloth seems dedicated to hold on to the ground for now. There's a bit of width from the push. Doom has got some support structure, gets himself rotated, and well, with that being watched, it's a very dangerous route. They're sort of saying, we've got you surrounded, give up and, well, we'll still probably kill you, and Spirits is going to see if he can try. The pressure comes against the window, just misses out the first engagement, misses out the second, but that's why you have Kino in that position, ready for the swing, ready for the catch. It leaves just the Solace. Sloth.
Oh, is he going to do it?
I mean, I don't recommend this at home, people. Do not hide behind the toilets.
Well, this is either going to be amazing or terrible, but oh, there you go. Terrible it is. Yoga has spotted him out, and the rat play does not pay off for Sloth. Not yet, at least. He still has a chance to take one with him, but there's no way he escapes this alive. M80 are playing it smart, though. They're not feeding him, not getting over-aggressive. They're throwing the flashes in, and they dismantle him. This man can't do a goddamn thing.
A minute left. Noodle inside the meat locker.
Why?
Grizzly a little bit further up brick stairs. Uno the only one on the site itself. They're hoping to stress the time, and there's the first fight. There's your bit hard breach gone. Yoga gets the refrag, but well, you've just got now the thermite. Okay, they bought a plan B. They didn't always have that. Now Grizzly is inside the kitchen. They are really hoping to just steal the time and the live. Misses the fight. Oh, and that is a huge moment that has slipped away from Grizzly. We know they're good at shutting it down. All the flashes in the world. They're around the corner. They don't quite get the fight and the angle. They've lost the man, and this is all precious, precious time. There's one for Grizzly. He's going to look for a second. He doesn't quite get it because they're like, we need to hit the site. They're sprinting. He's seeing if he can get the catch, but they're inside. They got the call. There's nobody there. We got the one kill. There's one more for Grizzly. The Echo. He's looking for the long range. Has the pre-fire. Cannot quite get the connection. It's Yoga. Just saves the round.
Oh no! You're gonna retire! Oh shit! Oh my god!
You're nasty.
In all my years, I've never seen a round like that.
Hello, Heroic! Where are you?
Heroic continuing to throw bodies at the problem. Every time a risky play didn't work, they doubled down, they tripled down.
You're on each side, no communication of what you're gonna push on. You're hiding, for fuck's sake. What are we? Hello? We don't hide, we fucking contest. That's how we win.
Right now,
stop this bullshit.
Play with you together. Like this.
Come on,
constantly.
we got this.
Constantly together.
We fucking got
Need
this,
to do
boys.
shit together. Even if we give one side up and play super aggro on the other side.
Can we listen to M80?
Bedroom denied.
Let's go, boys.
Get a little bit of M80.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can't. It's kind of a shit example on this track because.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but
I don't
this,
care. Forget
this we
the
just play
track.
together.
Not straight up. Play together.
It's not that hard.
Mainly Heroic.
Yeah,
Come
well,
on, boys.
It was that time.
things for sure is that Heroic is saying some
we bring
interesting
all one
things.
I mean, it's a similar sort of talk they had before. They need to stay together. They're sort of cowering, they're hiding, and if you do that, look at what M80 did there. The amount of coverage, the amount of clarity. What M80 does very, very well in their attacks is that coordination. They have intel and they use it. They don't sort of sit around, and they make sure that they use it in a way that is precise.
This is the thing, and it comes down to the read, right? Heroic can play these aggressive plays if they have a good read of their opponent that their opponent is not going to be expecting that. The thing with M80, as we've demonstrated, I think, to perfection that round, is that they leave no stone unturned. And we see this quite frequently, I would say, from North American teams. They tend to be very thorough. I'm thinking about Space Station, looking at how they played yesterday in particular, and M80 in this match, they will drone everything. They will be incredibly thorough, and the punishment of that is sometimes if a team can counter that well by contesting map control, shooting drones and peeling back and playing time, late round operators such as your Echo, your Goyo and your Smoke, then it does really punish that slow methodical playstyle, that really thorough, risk-adverse playstyle. But Heroic, I don't know if they've got that read as of yet. They are going to gym and bedroom instead of retrying that church and arsenal, which is the concern for me.
Yeah, I guess we'll see if the gym adaptation is one that they can try and get in. It was a bit scrappy last time round. M80 just sort of strong-armed themselves in. A couple of choice rotates did not quite function. Hey, remember how it opened? Yeah, that was right. Thatcher got spawn peaked and they couldn't get this wall properly open for a long time. Now, it's going to be a much quicker affair. There's still some weight here for the roll. There's the first Uno, there's the cover, too hard breach. They're gonna get this open, the second comes through. They do get the exothermic, so they did limit it, but the wall is opened.
I wonder if they're gonna try and redo this. There's enough manpower outside the balcony here for M80 for them to try and put another exothermic on while Gomez covers. And indeed, that's what they're gonna go for. There's no way you can test that Uno. Very brave man he is.
No, at that point you just let that wall fall, but you are happy that you took some of the utility away. They're making sure that they can't bandit trick bathroom. That gets opened and it does cut the site in half. Wants to take the fight. Couldn't quite get the angle, so pops themselves back in. Yep, droned out. That castle wall just behind him does get him some semblance of safety, but there is a big old glaring window next to him that is going to be deadlier sooner rather than later.
Now what's next step for M80? Typically teams will go and breach open that CCTV wall to prevent the peek from the window covering the master balcony so that they can play safely on that balcony. Uno is taking a fairly risky position. I believe he's looking under the castle barricade at the moment. A lot of Heroic, yeah, there you go. I mean, he doesn't really have a solid angle here. I mean, M80 still have quite a lot of players on this balcony. They're looking to just brute force this issue. We've seen M80 in the past. They're not afraid to just send it straight to site.
And that's it. They've got Gomez watching the stairs. They've got Spirits on the top of logistics as well. It's a 3-2-1, and they're inside the bathroom. They're going to swing themselves around on the site. It's being watched a bit. Sloth stops some of the progression, but with Grizzly winning the first on the far end, you can see a rotation coming underneath, and they've got themselves a bit stuck. Kino has the kit. Only 30 seconds, though. He's going to have to try and find a fight somewhere, and the game's been a bit rumbled. You're surrounded. They're in front of you. They're behind you with that castle wall. He's happy to play, but a double kill over the top. They're looking for the third. They still can't find their way out. The Nitro gets one. Uno gets Yoga on the castle, gets an option, and gets himself one teammate less, and suddenly Gomez is screaming through this, pre-fires the angle, but they've got a plant. There's the cover, there's the rotate back round. They see the ping on the player, they see the rotation, they're almost out of time. They just have to get it, they do!
Who fucking plays?
That's a clutch and a half from Doom. The 1v3 finally get Heroic back in the game after losing 3 rounds in a row. They find some magic and some brilliance, some of what we saw on map 1.
He nitro sold it.
They're going to need a lot more of that to take this 2-0.
And as you said, they like to brute force some of their holds and their takes. They tried. They charged themselves in and then suddenly were stuck. The castle wall proved problematic. And one of the things was 3 of them broke in from that single. Nobody was on gym window. 1 player in that position able to at least draw a fight from Uno, maybe get the kill, and suddenly you have safety. Suddenly you have a side of it that you might be able to work with. They had a little bit of tunnel vision, a little bit too much of an impression of we can do this right now. Sometimes it does not quite hit the mark. Heroic. I mean, you couldn't get closer than a time round. Hey, what else was a time round? The only other one that they've won this game.
That's very true. Thinking about players like Doom, just being able to step up in a moment like that, it's not easy. It really isn't. I think Heroic played that defense fairly well. I mean, M80, like you said, going for that aggressive push. Heroic were pretty patient, happy to just play their crossfires, and they managed to even it up fairly well before M80 turned it around. Really narrow margins in really claustrophobic executes like that, but sometimes a 1v3, it's all it takes for some player to just put the round on their shoulders like Doom did just then. Okay, that's not a C4 I've seen much before, Doom, but I like the ambition.
Yeah, it was well rehearsed, but the Thatcher had, unfortunately for Heroic, already left, eked themselves further away. But look at this. Probably the soonest we've seen Heroic players fall themselves back to the site since the very start. I think one of the things that we can sort of look at across the board here is Gomez is obviously having a huge game, 8-2. Nobody can really match that on the side of Heroic. All of them are suffering on the wrong end of the guns, no more so than Sloth once again. Unfortunately, really struggling to hold off and get into breaking back against the approaches here from the attackers. M80, they're getting themselves in quite quick. Loads of time to play with here, and as they start to clear across bar, with this much time, you know that the basement's going to be under pressure soon.
And I mean, just looking at this lineup from Heroic, you know that they're going to be really powerful in the late round. You've got 2 shields to play off, you've got the smoke and the Vulcan canisters, and this really punished M80 last time. I mean, it's great that they're getting these hatches open, but there's so much more to do in the round. You can't be satisfied with just containing all the hard breach, because there's only a certain amount of explosives that M80 have available. I really like that play from Kino. He knows exactly where to put that Selma so that it doesn't get affected by the electric law, and as a result, he can open the hatch, and Gomez can open the round.
Yeah, I highlighted them at the start of this, and apparently they're going to highlight themselves as the first engagement. Gomez keeps screaming through whatever Heroic puts up against them, and Sloth, he loses life much earlier than the last time he held this position. That player's on a drone. They seem to have a bit of an awareness, but not quite enough. Noodle, he suffers from the hatch itself. The beeps are all around him. Spirits gets the lock-in with the skeleton key, and inside the site as well. Doom goes down. Spirits finally gets caught. They're trying to smoke and stop anybody else screaming through. Grizzly, oh, it's huge! Gets the double and suddenly brings it back into a 2 versus 2 from nowhere. Kino gets 1, leaves just Grizzly, not for very long.
Kino's so good. You feel me?
And with that, Kino, so good. Gets it across the line for M80. That's a 4-2 half on their attacking side.
And we just come to me.
He is simply diff. And that's putting a lot of pressure now on Heroic to match that 4-2 record on their own attack.
I mean, it's sort of how we saw it last time around. It was a 4-2 half, and we know how that ended up, but club functions very different. If anything, there's a little bit more with the defenders to work with, and let's see if M80 can try and work with it. You cannot argue that they've come back into this swinging. It started a little bit sketchy, but 2 rounds going to time. I mean, that's, as I said before, as close as it can be. You cannot emphasize how the 2 rounds from Heroic here have been eked through. It's not their map, fine. But still, if they want the 4 points, they've got to try and find some of that magic from Border.
If there's anything as a consolation here for Heroic going into the second half at such a deficit, is that they are historically a good attacking team on this map. In the last 5 months, they have a nearly 60% win rate. If they can match that in this game, then yeah, they'll be up 4-2. But you know, it remains to be seen. Really, Heroic just seemed to be such a momentum and emotional-based team. We saw that on map 1, didn't we, right? Like,
yep.
Complete shambles at the start of the game. They start to find their confidence, they start to trust each other and work together, and they finally see some results. And as Mr. Officer said, like, what do they do hiding under tables and stuff in this game? They need to trust that if they play properly, they can win these rounds.
Exactly. They are great gunners. They sure are coming in on a bit of a back foot, but still, you are at this level and playing at this tournament because of the work that can be done by all of you. The Valk getting the clean eyes, hoping that they can get the catch with the C4s. There's ones already ripped and torn underneath, ready to see if they can pop the players, watching and waiting, but so is Noodle. Crept their way down, being droned ahead. There's a player to their left. Do they know? Well, now there's one to their right, and they know! Oh, he's inside! Gets the first, screams his way around. He's going to pull himself back. Might be able to remove the claw at this point, but suddenly Heroic, I mean, they're in. You got to pay attention towards the site itself. No longer watching the C4s and Valk cams, just got to let them loose.
Yeah, I don't know how to put words to that one, but Noodle has certainly opened an opportunity that Heroic need to grab with both hands. Instead, Kino grabs that powerful pump, and Noodle gets a face full of buckshot. Maybe there is a chance now that M80 can reconcile after that strange happenstance at the start of the round.
I mean, it's the big problem right now, isn't it? Is whatever M80 wanted to do, it's been sort of put to a side because of the pace that came through. The Qaed's gone. They're still running those just for the safety. They're looking for the Valk cam to see if it's tucked around the corner. They're trying to find it. They also shot out the jukebox as well. They want to make sure that anything they do is not being watched. The ping's on the player. There's one on the stairs itself, and it seems that Gomez wants to continue the tear, and they have a pretty good gun in the right hands to do it. Doom will creep their way in, and tempted by the idea of rolling a grenade for a second.
I mean, it's about hatch o'clock, I think, Uno. It's time to open up this kitchen hatch and start getting yourself some options. And Grizzlies all out of Selmas, so any further hatch work will be Uno, but it seems like Doom once again is the man of the hour.
Smoke gone as well. Your smoke gone, and that is one of the big operators for this kind of plant if you want to try and stop it. Diaz has to get a bit aggressive and go for the retake, but with that hatch gone, he's actually realized, well, they're going to try and drop Moto. It's being watched a little bit from above, just to buy them some safety. The width comes, but so does 15 seconds. That ominous beeping as Doom gets a kill right down the core. There's Sloth, tucked around the corner, finds his first, suffers a scrape on the second, can't quite get the lock in, but Uno, he's going to see if he can stick the plant. Can there be some last second heroics from Yoga that we've seen from Heroic? Not this time.
Watch your fucking looks!
No fear at all from Sloth as he pursues that final kill. And Heroic, a fiery start on their attacking side. No doubt, confidence flooding through their veins after pulling off a ridiculous play like Noodle managed to achieve. Walking all the way down through the bottom of main stairs, through short into Moto. Hang on, there's a Kaid on cams in here. Freest kill of his life.
Do you know, I wouldn't have pegged this one to be one that turns into a bit of a bloodbath. I mean, it's always going to be a fight, don't get me wrong. But you ever watch a game, James, and you're like, this is getting a bit personal.
It really is, man.
It's getting a little bit naughty.
Being able to hear the comms is increasing that tenfold.
Obviously.
You know what is a big part of it as well is Heroic's up to some serious shenanigans.
Oh, yeah.
The way they are playing these rounds, there is some absolute tomfoolery going on. The M80's got to do something about it.
I mean, it's that sort of trade-off here. And obviously, for those watching at home, if this is your first time sort of experiencing the comms of players on esports, they say stuff in the heat and the passion of the moment. It doesn't carry on outside of the game.
Line fever.
Yeah, it's, you know, your blood's pumping, you're full of sugar and caffeinated beverages and a lot of water, so you're healthy. And then this energy of we gotta beat them, it comes out in volume, it comes out in pounding your chest and hitting the keys. And then afterwards you sort of diffuse and go, damn, we won, we lost, and you shake hands and move on with it. But this is what you enjoy, and I wouldn't have expected it to get this sort of scrappy. I'm enjoying my time.
I am too.
Ooh,
and well, that's one way to kick it off.
That's a huge player gone as well. I highlighted how important they were on the attack, and now that, I mean, I think it was at one point a 4.0 KD has only drifted to a 2.0.
Oh, wow.
Only.
What a shame.
But Sloth got his first 2 kills in the past round. So, this is that sign that, you know, if Heroic can go back to that game they did so well in their attack before, as he said, they're pretty good at attacking this map. And that is a bit concerning because all it does is trigger those flashbacks like that dog with that cupcake gif of, oh no, it's happening again.
All right. Hey, just talking about opening picks for a minute, something Jesse harped on a lot about on the desk.
He does do that.
Yep, he likes to have a good yarn. Heroic are a phenomenal opening kill team, one of the best in the biz, and they've once again started it. And now that they can go back to basics, you know, bit of shenanigans to get your opening pick and then just play standard, play slow, sort them out. The Spirits already had a bit of info on where that IQ was headed, and I think M80 is starting to read this. They figured out there's actually no one here on platform. It does take a bit of damage to someone way outside, I believe, on the top of Strip.
Yeah, look at this though, the strip take, it's not the most common scene, especially in EU as well. As you said, they sort of read where the hold is, and Noodle is knocking on the door. There's the open hatch, it's dangerous, the C4 can come up from behind, but there's a couple of tucked places you can put this kit down. The reveal of the player, the drop of the camera, the sort of statement that we're inside and we're putting the pressure on is something where M80 have to react.
Who's outside? What?
Doom is, but not anymore.
Yeah, well, certainly not, because he's walked right into the waiting arms of Keynote. There's so much information here in this lineup from M80. You've got the bulletproof camera, you've got the Solus, who can also see the plant going down, the Valk and the Echo, and that's the real scarcity for Heroic. They need to deny this information. They spotted out one of the Yokais, though.
Grizzly and Yoga, they're able to find one apiece, and one of them is the aforementioned Grizzly, but the Solace is now gone. No more tricky plays against the Plant. 3 versus 3 with less than 30 seconds, and the verticality is still not entirely confident. Do they know about Diaz? I don't know if they do, but the Echo, they're in a position where they might swing into this. Noodle gets one, the dance is theirs, and well, Uno's going to see if he can stick it. Yoga does have an impact. Can he have an impact in time? Unfortunately not, and we are back level.
And Sloth's getting fired up as well. Really slow start to this series, but he's absolutely found his place now. Exceptional use of his gadget on the IQ as well. It was paramount in that round that Heroic could deny all of the possible plant denial that M80 had brought to the table, and basically all of it electronic. Great usage of his gadget and just a perfect read as well, always getting to that right position to take down those players. Not allowing that plant denial to be part of the equation. Now we're at even Stevens, Emmy. It's 4-4 on the scoreline. Heroic have not dropped an attacking round yet.
Yeah, M80, they haven't opted to use their timeout either. If this round goes away from them, they will. I don't think there's any real doubt about that. 3 losses in a row, the entire half as well, 100% failure rate is, well, as it often was with the same on the other side. Yeah, let's have a talk about this. Let's try and change things out. Since then, it's been a little bit more back and forth into Heroic's favor, but we are still far from over, as proven by the first map.
And M80 will be gunning to at least get the 1 point, take their own map pick. It was, of course, them who picked here Clubhouse. And Heroic brought back border in an incredible fashion. I've been bringing that fire here onto Club. Looks like it's a bit of a roam here from Spirits on the top floor. Yoga as well to join him. Good old roaming Warden. Give these guys a 1.5 and see what they can cook up. Guess what? It's Choom. 3 rounds in a row. He's opened up the game for Heroic, and he's already in the building, less than 30 seconds in.
Oh, June was not happy with them saying they wanted to retire Uno. They said, hey, leave our granddad alone. He's definitely driven himself back into this game, straight through the core and the heart of the building. There's players above, there's players below. His time should be ticking, but support is slowly coming round. Spirits goes down, gets 1, pulls himself back up, doesn't want to try and risk the resurgence in return. Yoga does suffer a bit of a scrape on the door itself, stuck onto the side. Bullets buzz by, Gomez gets caught, and Sloth holds the trigger, but Spirits, importantly, at least make sure they can still put a body back. Spirits on the top floor, Kino in the middle, stuck between the Joker and the Clown. In the middle with you.
What are his options, though? Getting back to site is not going to be easy now. Kino is all lonesome. Oh, but Spirits, that's perfect. Not only does he get back safe, he takes a body with him and evens up the numbers. Uno and Sloth now, both players have really come into their own in this second map. But Kino has that smoke, and Spirit, he's got that 1.5 times scope on the T5 SMG. He's shown what he could do with it. Just 2 more headshots, and this round could be over. M80 regaining the lead and finding their first defense.
The fact that Sloth has gone from no kills to 6 to almost an even KD over 2 rounds is something that Heroic can try and hold on to here. And Uno has been Mr. Consistent. Listen to your IGL. But Kino with the smokes. Spirits in this position. A huge round from the Oryx so far. They have a little bit of wiggle room. The breach has come through. There's still plenty of time as the hatches get popped open. They're trying to find the clarity on just where the players are. Kino and Spirits have to make sure that they can try and pinch the fight at the same time. Uno has a drone on the far end. Sees that Kino is holding on. The first smoke pops onto default. They have 2 more. Another 30 seconds of waste is well within their reach.
Sloth's going dirt. Uno to go on the hatch. Kino is the perfect operator to deny this. The Sloth is still in dirt as Kino's unsure. What is the play for Heroic? M80 not quite sure as of yet. That said, dirt now open. Kino vulnerable to Sloth, and Spirits may well have to be the playmaker here. Kino starts to move his way up from dummies, but he loses his head. It's now all up to Spirits in the 1 versus 2 Sloth on 1 sliver of HP. Is Spirits gonna be able to get past him? Absolutely not. He may be Sloth, but he ain't slow.
Over 3 rounds, screaming his way back back to a positive KD, and you can see it on the faces of M80. And I'm sure we'll hear it on the voices of them too, as they've called their timeout. Let's have a listen in to the NA team if we can.
It's really good. It's catching them off guard. They have no idea for the rest of the defenses how to hold this. They have no idea. All of their strats, now they only see the openings. Oh shit, they can push here, they can push here. Let's use that as an advantage. One round, we can do maybe default. Next round, we can go back to this randomness, you know?
Yeah, we need to be careful with them changing what they're doing for our attacks, because they just take us out. So now their coach is going to come with shit.
One of the things that you also have to think about, they actually don't know how to defend for shit. Nothing. They're just panicking, just trying to go aggro.
Like this, okay? You guys prefer to do safe now?
Yeah, go cash.
You want to see Jim?
I think cash, no?
No, he said Jim.
This? A TD, bro.
I'll tell you what, it was very clear when we switched from listening to Heroic to switching to M80, and the main reason is because Heroic were talking a hell of a lot more.
I mean, wouldn't you?
Usually not a good sign for the team that is not talking. Typically means that they don't have a lot of good things to say. M80, though, they were just discussing which site to go. Ended up going Jim, and as we can see, trying a third different bomb site. They haven't yet tried this one. Failed on Church Arsenal twice, failed on their bar stage. And it's looking like a rough outlook from here for the NA fellas. There's a lot of work ahead of them, and you can just start to feel it. Heroic, when they get the ball rolling, there's no stopping them.
It's so tough because, as I said, we know the capability of M80, and you see these sparks of life, but sometimes the unknown entity is the hardest thing to fight against. It's the hardest thing to control. The famous phrase is how good they play on their day. Sometimes it's impossible to stop. At this point, how good they play from a deficit. You can't go more to hero than from zero. There's not a bigger gap. And they're living up to their namesake right now. Last time M80 took a timeout, Heroic got 4 rounds they needed afterwards. This time they only need 2.
Heroic have been phenomenal on these opening engagements. Every single round of attack, they found it, and it hasn't been traded afterwards. That's why if I'm M80 here, I'm really cautious in the opening round. Cautious for lurking players. We've seen Noodle and Joom accomplish so much in doing so. But also, you got to be worried. That's the thing with Heroic, and that's the thing that Uno was saying in the M80 tactical timeout. Heroic know how unpredictable they are right now. They know that M80 doesn't have their number, and they're using that to their advantage. Forcing M80 to play passively because they're scared. What if I turn that corner and there's Joom just waiting for me?
The impact saves the Salmo and stops the wall being open. Gomez taking a bit of a risky swing, but to be fair, Thunderbird has a heck of a gun to do it. Diaz does not. Dropped on the back end. Might be able to get themselves back up. They are. I'm assuming that was from the Thunderbird. No, in fact, luckily they're double stacked with spirits, and that'll buy them some success. But here, they should be able to get themselves healed up to take another engagement. Still not the way you want to start the round. A bit of a scrape and a scratch, and suddenly no more downs for you. A rotate comes through. Heroic, they're happy with what they've got from one side. They're going to see if they can try and do it the rest, or they're just unhappy they weren't given anything. So the pressure needs to come towards Yoga, and Uno's going to cut off that as the first step, probably. Hit the construction wall. Make sure that if they rotate back round, they'll be watched from 2 different sides. This is the first, and the other will be the window.
Well, there goes Con external wall. Here comes a nade from Noodle. Oh, it may be timed perfectly.
Oh, no!
Tino is so unlucky. He had only just moved back in a bathroom. Is there going to be a drop down? That Con hatch. There's no way Noodle lands this twice. Gomez lucky to be alive.
That was almost a blessing, unless you're an M80 fan. You can see he's got a little bit of a shoulder shake. I survived it in 30 seconds. Is left to survive the pressure up the stairs. If 2 rounds can be won by time already, can Joom get a catch? They're rotating and moving. The drop is there.
No.
Sloth gets 1 and 2. Both of them caught out in the small little pocket. Noodle has the one end, and it's a flawless! Heroics onto map and series point.
That is grimy.
Good fucking job.
Let's go, boys.
What are they doing?
Unbelievable scenes from Heroic. The double hatch drop. Sloth found the openings that he needed.
She's not bad.
I'm gonna go Warden fucking Stomp, bro.
And as we listen into M80, it's not quite the same vibe.
I mean, the conversation's there. I'm going to go Warden, I'm going to spawn peek Gomez. Let's see if it rewards you. Yeah.
Do it, man. I gotta say, it is pretty scary when we switch to their audio and all you can hear is, let's go Cash. Yeah, Cash CCTV is not that bad. Man, it's a pretty sketchy sight, I'm gonna be real with you, especially when his army is banned. This is a very scary prospect trying to hold on here.
It's almost a weird thing, though, about CC. Because we always talk about it being default. We talk about it not being easy to attack, but known to attack. Maybe if you have to force Heroic to play something that is known, you might have a little bit more knowledge.
The thing is, there's no way Heroic just do the obvious thing here.
No, I'm looking for glass half full here. I'm looking at the fact that M80, Heroic pulled back from a worse deficit. It's so not over. It's so tough. I'm not going to say anything other than that. There's the spawn peak. Didn't quite come together.
I was going to say, what M80 would have really liked there is Gomez spawn peeking onto Sloth. Not only is his utility so essential here, but he's just been on fire these last
He hasn't died.
Yeah.
He hasn't died since they've had the resurgence. And he's got 9 kills without dying. If they didn't have the first half of this game, Sloth would be on to maybe set records. Unfortunately, he had to open 0 to 6.
Well, he had a slow start, but at least he's nailing it now. And Heroic, as you said, series point. On the cusp of taking home 4 points in their group, furthering their position. And let's be real, like...
Oh no!
A second, what just happened?
Sloth tried to run through the hot breach. Noodles in as well. He killed himself, but Uno at least finds a kill out of it. Noodles holding the angle. The smoke's going to stop the motion. They have control underneath, but yes, you did just see Sloth, for all the compliments we paid him, trying to run through a breach.
I've seen it all. I've
a little too early. They're watching for a jump out underneath. They did get the kill inside the site, but the fact that the smoke was very well played stopped the motion from turning into anything entirely deadly. Kino still stacked up on the top of red. There's the break of an ADS. There's Doom getting Gomez, and that's at the bottom on the other side. They've slipped on by with the kit, and Uno, he's going to see if he can plant it. They have Pit. They have the door. Noodle gets Dyers, and now with Doom caught, Kino has to go huge. Jogger gets 1. Uno almost gets caught out on the way out, but it's a 2 versus 2 post plant. It's on the wrong side of the chassis for the right side to take, so they got to see if they can try and swing one of these fights first. Will Heroic hand it to them? If they're able to take a round on the back of an exothermic suicide, well, I don't really know what to say. The smoke is very well played. You gotta pop up. The cover is there! M80 with a huge clutch!
Let's go, boys.
What a play! The gas babe, perfect. The cover from Yoga, exactly what M80 needed. And that's a way to keep yourself alive in the match. Just one more round of push OT now for M80 as they finally find their first D.
I believe we can hear the, I think it's Dark Zero Team secret game.
Is that what's going on?
I believe we can hear the Dark Zero Team secret game, which is quite funny because I believe they could hear our game earlier on in the stream.
Ah.
So, it's a, you ever get EU and NA in a room together? I mean, you know it. In our talent room, it's exactly the same.
Yeah, I'm constantly breaking up punch-ons.
Yeah. I love fighting.
I'm well aware
Parker.
of that. Yeah. Well, who wouldn't?
Yeah, true. Ooh, M80. One more round and you can find yourself in OT. Doesn't guarantee anything, but to be fair, it brings you back to a chance here. Heroic. I mean, I still love that they almost pulled a round out with the opening death in such a manner.
Yeah, well, there's one thing for sure, and that's Heroic keeps you guessing. Whether it's Sloth sprinting into an exothermic or Noodle getting right on in to the site and staying there for about 40 seconds without revealing his position before eventually the execute comes through. Heroic are very difficult to read right now, and that's the way that they like it. But M80, they have a chance. They have a little bit of fire beneath them at the moment. On the back of that, to be honest, pretty impressive clutch in the previous round. They now go down to the basement for the 3rd time in this match.
It's like if we don't know what we're doing, they don't know what we're doing.
Well, if M80 just dot their I's and cross their T's, they should be able to prevent a lot of this rat shenanigans from Heroic.
Talking of, there was a bit of an adaptation there to try and stop the potential nuke that was so deadly, and that they've softed the double door on the opposite end, so they cannot just crouch and creep their way in. M80, they're sort of giving themselves a little bit more to work with. Spirits isn't sitting on the camera, he's trusting the intel from the others. They have the C4s to try the approach, but it's a slightly different approach this time round. Still very quick. Just passing the 2-minute mark and starting the pressure onto the hatches is about 40 seconds sooner than a lot. And okay, M80 haven't given any real resilience outside of this. They're fully trusting themselves to do a hold down here, but with Thatcher on the board, these walls won't last a super amount of time.
Heroic have made pretty good time here. Half the round done. They've got, I believe, the moto hatch is open. I believe the blue hatch, yeah, I think this one might have actually even been soft here from M80. Heroic's clearing a lot of util as well. Those were my magnets being wasted. The next thing is to clear out these Goyos, the Vulcan canisters, because between them and the smoke, the plant can be denied for a very, very long time.
Gomez is watching up towards the hatch alongside Yoga. The first C4 doesn't quite get the catch. The sledge is making some work, and the hatch will get popped open as well. A little bit more of an angle is spread out. In fact, I'm wrong, it wasn't a C4 that was used. They also still have a claw in pocket as well. Not too sure where that's going to end up, but it's definitely not going to be on any of the hatches, which are at this point long gone. But 40 seconds. Now, as the breach comes through onto Church Wall, it's not going to get directly stopped. They have some angle. It does get electrified a little bit too late, but it stops it being a proper rotate, and that is huge. Doom,
oh wow,
caught bottom to top and rocked on the hatch. The C4 to cement the kill, but at this point it's Kino that gets the more important one onto Sloth from the top of the kitchen hatch itself. Suddenly, Heroic, they found themselves at a 2-body deficit just before they wanted to go for an execute. They can't quite get the solid lock in. They're missing the M80 players that are very cleverly just drawing themselves further away from the fight. The rotate comes round. They at least get one off the back of it. The fire is the drop. The ping's on a single player. The pepper of the first shot. There's one, there's two. They've got the kit, but it's out of hands now. They find one. Can they get the last player? It's a sprint. No! And if we opened on time wins for Heroic, we end with one for M80.
Man, that was a close round. Criminal that Heroic was able to even bring it back to a 1v1 after that 3v5 late round scenario. M80 had a good read there, and they played the mid round to perfection.
Yeah, I got you.
And as we move into overtime, Heroic go back onto their defensive side, where we saw M80 do so much damage. Their attacks were dangerous.
Exactly. That's the worry right now for Heroic, is you are going to have to play this on the side that you probably don't want to at this point in time. If you don't think M80 can defend, well, that's on you. But what's now on you is you've got to prove that you can. And M80, I mean, the only rounds they lost were to time. A huge clutch was one of them. The other was, you know, a slow start at the beginning of the game. This has got to be a bit more of an impact drive with some of the impact that you've driven home over the past recent half. You know that comebacks can happen. You just did it before. Can you stop it happening again?
Big question I have here for Heroic's defense is how much are they going to go for these aggressive plays? Because we saw during the very early tactical timeout called in round 5 by Heroic, a bit of a roast from Mr. Officer, saying, you know, why are you guys hiding under tables? Why aren't we playing properly? And it looks like Sloth is playing a little bit more aggressively. He's on this Solus and he's making his presence known.
This is the important coordination as well. One of the things they highlighted in that team talk was play together, boys. We need you together. You need to be in a position to refrag. You need to be in a position to bite back at each other. You have to work with a synergy. It reveals the calls, looking for drones. There's the breach that's coming through. How long are you going to sit there? Ooh, it's a dangerous amount of time, especially as they're on the window behind you. They'll potentially fire through that in a moment. So Doom is going to come in off of the aforementioned support that they need.
The scary thing here is how long will Heroic overstay their welcome on this roam? It's very dangerous for Doom to try and cross back to main stairs, and he hasn't done so yet. Noodle also still on this roam in the kitchen hallway. Is Doom still going to try and drop down this hatch, or is he going to try and play his life on the roam? He's really getting enclosed on by multiple angles, multiple sides. He's been denying these drones piece by piece. I think the play is here to play it for late round. There's so much good late round info for Heroic that Doom can continue to waste time on the roam.
I mean, look at this time that's ticking away. As I said before, M80 was very clean and clear, and they had all the intel, but Doom is dancing around that intel. Another drone's fallen, and he's going to head right back up. There's a fight on the top. It's the Thermite, though, that wins it out. Diaz, he was able to be electric before this series, and he needs to try and find some of that energy once again. They get one, they hear the breaking and battering, but if I said that Heroic had a lot of time before and they found themselves pressured, M80, they still don't have everything cleared on the middle floor, and they've got only a minute.
Well, Noodle's come back to side here, but it's a dangerous game Sloth is playing, retreating all the way back to strip. At least he is the Solus. He can check for flank watch drones himself, and there has been one set now in bathroom, just underneath the flag. He's opened up a rotate as well into pool. Now that may bait out his position. He's goading M80 into pushing him. But if they play this right, they could realize it's a 5v3 on site and turn their attention to that instead.
That's entirely it, and they've done exactly that before, so let's see if they've learnt the lessons. Noodle has, takes the head off of Yoga on the approach and puts a little Grismot down, says, no way you're passing this fight, so they take blue. The drop, the pressure, there's a fire that pops through, and Noodle pops off. Uno goes down, though. Diaz still on the bite, and Gomez has to wait for a pass. Doesn't quite get the bullets into the body. Sloth, he's on the slow creep round above the hatch. If he retakes the vertical here, oh, what do they have? Glasses that can see through the floor and see the planner. He's got to move above. Sloth gets one. The kid's still being tucked into the corner of post plant. A 3 versus 2. They have vertical control. They have an angle. They're trying to find the loose limbs of the player. Grizzly buries back. Kino gets one.
No,
Gomez gets 2. Noodle gets it back, but it's a 1 versus 1. They know where he is. He's stuck on the door. Gotta fight his way out here. Oh, he throws the impact. He cannot find the kill.
What a round from M80. There is no way they made that work. Everything was against them. Noodle had denied dirt control. Sloth was still on the roam. He was a Solus, for goodness sake. Like you said, he could have denied the plant through vert. And yet M80 not only forced that plant down, but stuck it out in the post. Unbelievable. And just like that, they find themselves on their own map points. And 1 point on the standings at minimum, up for grabs if they're able to push to map 3.
No, we don't need. I can just pick Yana.
7-6, and we have been here before, but this is now the risky, stressy game. I believe we're having a tech pause, so we'll hopefully be back in motion at a point, and it's a chance for the players to talk amongst themselves and breathe a little bit. Slight problems with connections.
Okay, that's the issue. It might happen again.
It's so dangerous where we're at right now, and oh, it's teetering.
It is tantalizing, this match.
Like this?
And M80,
Just gotta stretch my legs.
after managing that round, got to be a bit fired up. They are so much tamer than the Europeans, I tell you